Captain Zara stared at the screen in her command chair, her three eyes blinking in sequence. Something was wrong with the data. It had to be wrong. Run the scan again, she told her science officer. Kaimin's fingers moved across the control panel, his green skin glowing slightly in the dim light of the bridge. The Times Eternal Wanderer Times had been mapping this section of the outer galaxy rim for 6 months. They had found nothing but empty space and dead rocks. This should have been another dead rock. Same results, Captain, Kaimin said. His voice carried confusion. The planet has life. Intelligent life. Zara stood up from her chair and walked to the main display. The planet hung there in the hologram, blue and white and green. Beautiful. Impossible. That cannot be right, Zara said. This region has never been surveyed. No one comes out here. How could we miss an entire civilization? We did not miss them, Captain, Kaimin replied. He pulled up more data streams. They are very young. Based on their technology, they achieved spaceflight less than 100 years ago. They have only just reached their own moon. Zara felt her chest tighten. A new species. In her 30 years of survey work, she had never found a new species. No one had found one. In over 2,000 years, every intelligent species in the galaxy had been catalogued, contacted, and brought into the Galactic Council. Until now. Show me their technology level, Zara ordered. The screen changed. Kaimin's analysis appeared in glowing text and images. Zara read it once, then twice, then a third time. This makes no sense, she whispered. The planet's inhabitants, who apparently called themselves humans and their world Earth, had nuclear weapons. Enough nuclear weapons to destroy their own planet several times over. They had satellites orbiting their world, a space station, and probes sent to nearby planets. They had global communication networks that connected their entire population, but they also had war, active wars, poverty, disease, starvation in some regions, while others had excess. They had no unified planetary government. Instead, they had nearly 200 separate nations, each with its own leaders and laws. How are they not extinct? Zara asked. Every species in the Council achieved unity before developing nuclear technology. It is the only way to survive. These humans have had these weapons for almost a century, and they still have not unified? Kaimin shook his head slowly. There is more, Captain. Their planet is dying. The readings show massive climate disruption caused by their own industrial activity. Rising temperatures, changing weather patterns, species extinctions. Yet they continue the activities that cause it. But they know? Zara asked. They know they are destroying their own world? Yes, Captain. Their information networks show extensive scientific data about the problem. They know. Some of their nations are trying to stop it. Others are not. They argue about it constantly. Zara sat back down. Her training had covered many scenarios for first contact. None of them covered this. A species that knew it was killing itself, but could not agree to stop. A species with weapons to destroy their world, but somehow had not used them. A species reaching for the stars while fighting among themselves. We must report this to the Council immediately, Zara said. Kaimin nodded. I have prepared the data packet. Should I send it through standard channels? Zara thought for a moment. A discovery like this would shake the entire galaxy. Every assumption about how civilizations developed would need to be reconsidered. The Council would want to study this carefully. Yes, send it. Mark it as Priority Alpha. New species discovered. Kaimin sent the transmission. It would take several hours to reach Council headquarters, even at faster-than-light speeds. Zara ordered her crew to maintain distance from Earth and observe passively. She wanted more data before the Council responded. Over the next few hours, her team gathered information. They intercepted human broadcasts and ran them through translation matrices. They watched human entertainment, news, and communication. What they found only deepened the mystery. Humans seemed to contradict themselves constantly. They created beautiful art and terrible weapons. They helped each other and hurt each other. They built hospitals and bombs. They sent aid to their enemies during natural disasters, then went back to fighting them afterward. They had organizations dedicated to peace that had existed for over a century. Yet wars still happened. "Captain," Kaimin said suddenly, "we have a response from the Council." Ground. That was fast. Too fast. The Council usually took days to respond to new discoveries. Zara opened the communication channel. Sara, one Saveti T. The image of High Counselor Theron appeared. His ancient face looked excited, an expression Zara had never seen on him before. "Captain Zara," Theron said, "your discovery is confirmed. We have reviewed your data. This is unprecedented. The Council has made a decision." Zara waited. Protocol demanded silence until the High Counselor finished speaking. "We are invoking the observation protocol," Theron continued. "Earth and its humans will be studied by the entire galaxy. Every member species of the Council will have access to your observation data. This will be broadcast live to all civilized worlds." Zara felt her stomach drop. The observation protocol had not been used in over 5,000 years. It meant that billions of beings across thousands of worlds would be watching everything her ship recorded. "High Counselor, the humans do not know we are here," Zara said carefully. "If we broadcast their existence across the galaxy before first contact, we violate several protocols. The Council is aware," Theron replied. "But this discovery is too important. We must understand how these humans have survived. Every species achieved unity before reaching space. These humans did not. They should be extinct. Yet they thrive. They grow. They reach outward despite their conflicts. We must learn how." The communication ended. Zara looked at Kaimin. Her science officer looked as worried as she felt. "Broadcast our sensor data on all Council channels," Zara ordered. "The galaxy is watching now." Kaimin activated the transmission. Somewhere, billions of beings were tuning in to watch Earth for the first time. They would see the chaos, the contradiction, the impossible survival of a species that broke every rule. Zara looked at the blue planet on her screen. Somewhere down there, humans went about their lives with no idea that the entire galaxy had just discovered them. No idea that they were about to become the most studied, most debated, most astonishing species anyone had encountered. "What are you?" Zara whispered to the planet. "How are you alive?" The planet had no answer. But Zara knew she would find one. She had to. Because if humans could survive their own contradictions, they might teach the galaxy something it desperately needed to learn. The broadcast began at the start of the galactic day cycle. Across thousands of worlds, billions of beings stopped their work to watch. In homes, offices, learning centers, and public squares, screens showed the same image: a small blue planet called Earth, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. On the planet Mirios, elder scholar Ven watched from his teaching hall. His students gathered around, their young faces curious. Ven had lived for 300 years and had never expected to see this: a new species. He thought he had seen everything the universe had to offer. On the war world of Kreth, General Dax watched from his command center. His people had unified through conquest 2,000 years ago. Every Krethian knew that strength and unity were the same thing. He wanted to see what these humans had that let them survive without either. On the peaceful planet of Serenity the Seventh, the entire population watched together in their meditation gardens. They had evolved beyond violence 5,000 years ago. They could not imagine how a species with weapons could avoid destroying itself. Captain Zara stood on the bridge of the Time's Eternal Wanderer *, knowing that everything her ship recorded was being broadcast to all these worlds and more. The responsibility felt heavy. She looked at Kaimin. "Show them what we have learned," Zara said. Kaimin began presenting the data. He showed Earth's technology, its weapons, its fractured nations. He showed the wars, the poverty, The environmental damage. Across the galaxy, beings watched and shook their heads. This was what everyone expected. A young, violent species barely holding itself together. Then Kaimin showed something else. This was recorded 6 days ago, Kaimin said. His voice transmitted to billions of listeners. A major earthquake struck a human nation called Japan. Over 10,000 humans died. Watch what happened next. The screen showed rescue workers from dozens of nations arriving. Countries that had been enemies in recent wars sent help. Resources poured in. From around the planet, humans dug through rubble with their bare hands to save strangers. They gave blood, food, money, and time. Now watch this. Kaimin continued. He showed another recording. This is from a region where 2 human nations have been at war for 70 years. A flood struck both sides. Humans from each side crossed enemy lines to rescue civilians from the other side. Then, they went back to fighting. Across the galaxy, viewers felt confusion. How could a species help its enemies? Why would they save each other, just to fight again later? Elder Scholar Ven leaned forward in his seat. Impossible, he whispered. Compassion and aggression cannot exist together at this level. One must dominate. General Dax watched the rescue workers and felt something strange. Respect. These humans fought their enemies but valued life even during war. On Kreth, they had eliminated that weakness. Enemies were simply destroyed. But these humans had kept both the warrior and the healer inside them. On Serenity the 7th, the meditation leader spoke. They feel too much. Their emotions control them. This is why they suffer. But one young member of Serenity the 7th disagreed silently. She watched a human parent pull a child from earthquake rubble and thought the emotion looked like strength, not weakness. Kaimin continued the presentation. He showed human history, running at accelerated speed, wars that killed millions, followed by periods of peace and growth, empires that rose and fell, civilizations that collapsed and rebuilt, diseases that nearly destroyed them, overcome by their science, environmental disasters they caused, then worked to fix. They should have gone extinct 47 times by our calculations, Kaimin said. Here are the events that should have ended them. The list appeared. Nuclear standoffs where weapons were ready to launch but never did. Plagues that killed portions of their population but not all. Climate changes they survived through adaptation. Asteroid strikes they endured. Ice ages. Volcanic eruptions. Mass extinctions that killed most life on their planet. But somehow, humans and their ancestors survived. How? Someone asked in the council chamber. The question echoed across the galaxy. How? Zara stepped forward. We have been studying their behavior patterns. We believe we have found something important. Kaimin. Show them the pattern analysis. The screen split into hundreds of smaller images. Each showed humans in different situations. Humans helping each other. Humans fighting each other. Humans creating art. Humans making weapons. Humans exploring. Humans destroying. Humans loving. Humans hating. Every other species in the council achieved space travel through one path, Zara explained. Either complete unity like the Serene Ones, or complete conquest like the Crethians, or hive connection like the Zentari. Humans have achieved none of these. They remain divided. They remain individual. Each human chooses their own path. That is madness, Elder Scholar Ven said in his teaching hall. Individualism at that scale should create chaos. They should destroy each other. They do create chaos, Zara said, as if she could hear him. But watch what happens with that chaos. Kaimin showed more footage. A human scientist in one nation made a discovery. Within days, scientists in other nations, even enemy nations, confirmed and built upon it. A new technology appeared in one place. Within months, humans everywhere adapted it, improved it, and spread it further. They compete viciously, Zara explained. This competition drives rapid innovation, but they also cooperate globally on science, medicine, and exploration. They share information even while fighting wars. It seems contradictory, but it works. General Dax stood up in his command center. He finally understood. Humans were warriors who had learned they did not need to destroy everything to win. They were competitors who knew cooperation made everyone stronger. They held both truths at once. Kaimin brought up another recording. This is their approach to their dying planet. Some nations are trying to fix the damage. Others resist change. They argue constantly. But watch the trend over time. A graph appeared, showing Earth's environmental data over decades. The damage slowed. In some areas, it reversed, not because humans agreed on a solution, but because enough of them chose to act despite disagreement. They do not wait for unity, Zara said quietly. Those who see the problem fix it. Others follow when they are ready. Some never follow. But enough do to make progress. Across the galaxy, the mood shifted. This was not a doomed species stumbling toward extinction. This was something else. Something that challenged everything the Council knew about civilization. Elder Scholar Venn sat back in his chair. He would need to rewrite his textbooks. Everything he had taught about necessary conditions for intelligent species to reach space was wrong. Humans proved it. On Serenity the 7th, the young member who had disagreed with her leader spoke up. Perhaps emotion is not weakness. Perhaps they survived because they feel so much, not despite it. Her leader did not answer. But he did not silence her either. General Dax turned to his officers. I want full analysis of human tactical adaptations. They fight differently than anyone we have encountered. We need to understand it. Finger Sev. X. End. 1-1. End. 1-1. 1-1. In the council chamber, High Counselor Theron watched the broadcast with the other leaders. He saw the debate beginning among them. Some wanted to help humanity. Others wanted to quarantine them. Some saw opportunity. Others saw threat. But they all saw one thing clearly. Humanity was unlike anything the galaxy had encountered before. And they had survived things that should have killed them 100 times over. Zara looked at the blue planet on her screen. The galaxy was watching, judging, debating. But Earth spun on, unaware. Down there, humans continued their contradictory existence, fighting and helping, destroying and creating, dying and being born, surviving. Captain, Kaiman said. The Council is requesting we proceed to Phase 2 of observation. They want to see how humans respond to stimulus. Kaiman said. We have one to side weak speak. Amen said. Amen said. We have weeks, Amen said. Kaiman said. Zara nodded slowly. The real test was about to begin. The Council's orders arrived encrypted and marked urgent. Zara read them twice before believing what they said. They wanted to test humanity, to see how humans would respond to knowing they were not alone in the universe. They want us to reveal ourselves? Kaiman asked, his voice tight with worry. But we have not prepared them. We have not established communication protocols. This violates first contact procedures. Not full contact, Zara explained. We are to make our presence known visibly, but not threateningly. Lights in their sky. Something they cannot miss, but cannot identify. The Council wants to observe their response. Kaimin's skin shifted to a darker green, a sign of stress in his species. Captain, we are treating them like laboratory subjects. This is not respectful, Zara agreed, but she had her orders. The Council wants to understand human decision-making under stress. They need to know if humanity will unite in the face of the unknown or fracture further. Deploy observation satellites in visible orbit. Configure them to reflect their sun's light. Make them obvious. 2. Across the galaxy, billions watched as the Time's Eternal Wanderer Times released dozens of satellites. The small devices took up positions around Earth, their reflective surfaces catching sunlight. From the ground, they would look like new stars that moved in formation. Within hours, humans noticed. The first sightings came from amateur astronomers. Then professional observatories confirmed it. Something was in Earth's orbit. Something that had not been there before. Something that moved with clear intelligence and purpose. Zara watched human communications networks explode with activity. News spread across their planet in minutes. Everyone was talking about the lights. Everyone had an opinion. "Show me their governmental responses," Zara ordered. Kaiman brought up feeds from multiple human nations. What Zara saw surprised her. There was no unified response. Each nation reacted differently. Some nations mobilized their militaries. Fighter jets took to the skies. Weapons were aimed upward. Defense systems went to high alert. These nations saw a potential threat and prepared to defend themselves. Other nations called emergency scientific conferences. Their best minds gathered to study the phenomenon. They pointed every telescope and sensor at the satellites. These nations saw a mystery to be solved. Some nations did nothing official at all. Their governments issued calming statements and told their people to remain peaceful. They took a wait-and-see approach, and the humans themselves? Their responses varied even more wildly. Scientists excited about possible contact flooded communication networks with theories and mathematical messages aimed at space. Religious leaders debated whether these were angels, demons, or simply other created beings. Conspiracy theorists declared they had been right all along. Artists created images and music inspired by the event. Children asked if the visitors were friendly, and millions of humans made jokes. "They are laughing?" General Dax said from his command center on Kreth. He watched human social media with confusion. They face the unknown? And they make humor? On Serenity the 7th, the meditation leader was equally baffled. They should be in chaos. Their emotions should overwhelm them. But they are processing this through humor and creativity? Elder Scholar Ven watched with growing fascination. Every model his people had for first contact scenarios assumed the discovered species would respond uniformly, either with fear, or hope, or curiosity. Humans were showing all of these at once, plus responses he had never considered. One human video went viral, as the humans said. A young girl, perhaps 8 years old, stood in her yard and waved at the sky. She said in her language, "Welcome to Earth. We have pizza and dogs and music. I hope you like it here. I'm welcome. And dogs of Ursa's." The video was viewed by hundreds of millions of humans within a day. Many humans copied her gesture, waving at the sky and offering welcome. But other humans prepared for war. Defense systems remained on alert. Military forces stayed mobilized. "This is the human paradox again," Kaiman said. He had begun calling it that in his reports. They prepare for war and peace simultaneously. They fear and hope. At the same time, each human chooses individually how to respond. Zara watched it all with growing respect. She had expected panic or unified action. Instead, she saw something more complex. Humans were processing the greatest revelation in their history, and they were doing it in millions of different ways at once. "Captain," Kaiman interrupted her thoughts, "several human nations have launched probes toward our satellites. They want to investigate." Zara checked the data. Simple rockets with cameras and sensors. Nothing that could harm her satellites. The humans wanted a closer look. "Let them approach," Zara said. "Do not interfere." The galaxy watched as human probes reached the alien satellites. The satellites did nothing, simply maintained their positions. Human scientists studied them intensely, gathering every piece of data possible. Then something unexpected happened. Three human nations that had been enemies for decades announced a joint mission. They would combine their resources to send a manned spacecraft toward the satellites. Former enemies working together, triggered by the common mystery in their sky. Impossible, General Dax whispered. They unite with their enemies because of us? But it was happening. The broadcast showed human scientists from nations that had recently fought wars, collaborating on calculations. Engineers from different sides of old conflicts, working together on spacecraft design. Politicians who had condemned each other now sat at the same table, planning humanity's response to the unknown. They are not unified, Elder Scholar Venn observed. Look closely. They still argue. They still disagree on methods, but they are cooperating, despite the disagreement. He was right. The human collaborative mission was filled with arguments and different approaches, but they were moving forward together anyway. They had not achieved unity. They had achieved something else. Cooperation without conformity. Zara watched as more human responses came in. Artists performed concerts aimed at the sky. Scientists broadcast mathematical messages. Children sent drawings. Religious leaders prayed. Military forces remained alert. Conspiracy theorists shouted warnings. All of it happening at once. All of it somehow working together to create a response that was chaotic and beautiful and entirely human. Captain, we have a situation, Kai Min said urgently. One of the Council observer ships has gone off protocol. Zara's attention snapped to the tactical display. A ship from the militant Krethian delegation had deployed a resource extraction probe toward Earth. It was heading for the human moon. They are testing human defenses, Zara realized. Without authorization, the Krethian probe was small but obvious. Any human looking at their moon with a decent telescope would see it land and begin mining operations. It was a violation of observation protocols and a potential act of aggression. Should we intercept it? Kaiman asked. Zara hesitated. If she stopped the probe, she would reveal division among the observers. But if she let it proceed, humans might see it as a hostile act. Before she could decide, human detection systems spotted the probe. Zara watched as human military forces tracked the object. Weapons systems locked on. The probe was heading for their moon. Mining equipment obvious in its design. To humans, this looked like theft, an invasion, a claim on something they considered theirs. Across the galaxy, billions held their breath. Would humans fire? Would they see this as an act of war? Their weapons were primitive compared to galactic technology, but they could destroy the probe easily. The probe landed on the moon's surface. Its mining equipment activated. It began extracting resources. Human military systems remained locked on target. Fingers hovered over firing commands. Nations debated responses. Some demanded immediate destruction of the probe. Others urged caution. Then a third option emerged from the chaos of human discussion. A coalition of human nations quickly organized a mission, not to destroy the probe, but to capture it intact. They would study it, learn from it, and understand it. But they would not allow the theft to continue. Within 36 hours, human spacecraft launched. Multiple nations contributed to the mission. The ships were crude by galactic standards, but they were fast and determined. Zara watched with amazement as human spacecraft reached their moon and surrounded the probe. Using tools and techniques obviously improvised in desperate haste, they captured the device without destroying it. They shut down its mining operations and began transporting it back to Earth for study. They did not destroy it, General Dax said in wonder. They had every right to destroy it as an invasion, but they chose to capture and understand instead. On Serenity the 7th, the young member who had spoken before spoke again. They are not peaceful by nature, but they choose peace when possible. That is different than what we achieved. We had to evolve beyond violence. They can be violent but choose otherwise. The human coalition transported the probe to a neutral research facility. Then they did something that shocked the watching galaxy. They announced they would study it openly, sharing all findings globally. Even nations not part of the capture mission would receive the data. And then they sent a message. It was mathematical at first. Basic concepts any technological species would understand. Then, it became more complex. The message was simple in its meaning. We detected your probe. We have it now. We wish to learn, not fight. We await your response. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as humans made first contact not with fear or aggression, but with an outstretched hand and a boundary clearly drawn. You cannot take from us, the message said, but we will talk with you. In her command chair, Zara felt something shift. The test was supposed to reveal human weaknesses. Instead, it had revealed something else entirely, strength tempered with wisdom. Power held in check by choice. Unity achieved not through conformity, but through collaboration, despite difference. Zara opened a channel to Council headquarters. High Counselor Theron, I am recommending we proceed to official first contact. These humans have passed your test. They have more than passed it. The council chamber fell into rare silence after Zara's recommendation. Thousands of representatives from hundreds of worlds considered what they had witnessed. The debate that followed would determine humanity's future. High Counselor Theron spoke first. We have observed this species called humanity for 9 days. We have tested them. We have seen their response to the unknown. Now we must choose. Do we welcome them, quarantine them, or attempt to control them? Elder Representative Venn stood, his ancient frame still strong. I have studied species development for 3 centuries. Humanity violates every principle I thought was absolute. They achieved space travel without unity. They survived nuclear weapons without peace. They face extinction-level environmental collapse while still debating solutions. By all logic, they should be dead. Yet they thrive. They thrive in chaos. Interrupted Councillor Dax of Kreth. His massive form dominated his section of the chamber. But I do not see weakness in this. I see adaptation. My people unified through conquest because we needed strength. These humans found strength without conquest. They are warriors who choose when to fight. This shows greater discipline than my own people achieved. A representative from Serenity the Seventh rose, her form glowing with agitation. They are too emotional, too violent. They will bring chaos to the council. We should quarantine them until they evolve beyond their primitive aggression. But they already evolved beyond it. Councillor Dax countered. They have the capacity for violence, but increasingly choose otherwise. Is that not better than never having the capacity at all? They hold both war and peace inside them and select which to use. We selected by evolution. They select by choice. The debate continued for hours. Representatives argued across the spectrum. Some saw humanity as a threat to galactic stability. Others saw them as fascinating subjects for study. A few saw them as potential allies. Then, Representative Jin A of the Harmony Collective spoke. She was known for her wisdom and rarely spoke in council debates. When she did, others listened. We are asking the wrong question, Jin A said quietly. The chamber fell silent. We debate whether to accept humanity into our council. But consider what we have witnessed. When we tested them, they did not respond as we expected. They did not unify under threat. They did not panic into chaos. Instead, each human chose their response. And somehow those millions of individual choices created a collective action that was both strong and measured. She gestured to the displays showing Earth. We achieved peace through evolution or revolution. We became unified through biology or force. But humans are achieving something we never did. They are learning to cooperate while remaining diverse. They are finding peace while retaining the capacity for war. They are solving planetary-scale problems without agreeing on the solutions. That is inefficient, someone objected. Is it? Janae asked. We have been observing them for 9 days. In that time, they have advanced their space technology by what our experts calculate as 5 years of normal development. The presence of the unknown accelerated their innovation. Their disagreements forced them to consider multiple approaches simultaneously. Their diversity means, if one solution fails, they have others ready. Perhaps their way is not inefficient. Perhaps it is simply different than what we know. High Counselor Theron nodded slowly. You suggest we have as much to learn from them as they have to learn from us. I suggest we consider what happened with the Crethian probe, Janae replied. Humanity had every right to destroy it as an act of aggression. They had the capability. Instead, they captured it, studied it, and shared the knowledge openly among their own nations. Then, they sent a message of peace while drawing a clear boundary. They showed strength and restraint in the same action. When have we seen such balance? In her ship, Zara watched the council debate through the broadcast. Kaimin stood beside her, monitoring human communications. The humans still did not know the extent of what was happening, only that something had responded to their message. Excitement and fear mixed in their broadcasts in equal measure. Captain, Kaimin said, I have been analyzing human scientific progress. Representative Jin A is correct. In the past 9 days, human cooperation on space technology and xenology has accelerated dramatically. Seeing our satellites and the probe has united their scientific community like nothing in their history. But not just their scientific community, Zara observed. She had been watching too. Look at their communication networks. Artists are creating works inspired by contact. Philosophers are debating humanity's place in a larger universe. Even their arguments have become more focused on the future than the past. Kaimin pulled up a particularly interesting data stream. Captain, look at this. A human scientist named Ji Wu has published a paper theorizing about our technology based on observations of the satellites. Her calculations are remarkably accurate for someone with no prior knowledge of our science. And scientists from 30 different human nations have already built upon her work. Zara examined the paper. This human, Ji Wu, had determined the basic principles of their gravity manipulation system through observation alone. It had taken Zara's own people centuries to develop that technology. This human had understood the fundamentals in days. What is her background? Zara asked. Kaimin checked. She was working on theoretical physics at a research institution. Relatively young for a human scientist, only 32 of their years. Before this, she was studying what they call quantum mechanics. She has adapted those principles to explain what she observed. Cheese 1. Zara made a decision. Kaimin, send a secure message to High Counselor Theron. Tell him I have a recommendation for Earth's first contact representative. Not me. I am military. We need a scientist. And I believe I have found the human counterpart who would make this historic moment meaningful. The council debate continued for 3 more days. Representatives examined every aspect of humanity: their art, their science, their history, their potential. Some feared that humans would destabilize the careful balance the galaxy had maintained for thousands of years. Others argued that the galaxy had become stagnant and needed the chaos humans brought. Finally, High Counselor Theron called for a vote. The question was simple. Should humanity be offered contact and eventual membership in the Galactic Council? The vote was closer than any in Council history. But when the count finished, the decision was made. Contact would be offered, but not full membership yet. Humans would have probationary status. They would be watched, guided, and slowly integrated if they proved capable. Zara received the official orders. She was designated as First Contact Ambassador. She would land on Earth in 7 days. The location would be neutral ground, not controlled by any single human nation. The humans would be notified in advance and given time to prepare representatives. But there was a condition in her orders that surprised her. The council wanted the humans to choose their own representatives, not governments alone, but a cross-section of their species. Scientists, artists, leaders, and ordinary citizens. The council wanted to see who humanity chose to speak for them. Zara composed the message carefully. It would be the first official communication from the Galactic Council to humanity. It needed to be clear, non-threatening, and respectful. People of Earth. The message began in mathematical language, then translated into their major languages. We are the Galactic Council, representing civilized species across this galaxy. We have observed you and found you worthy of contact. We wish to meet in peace. We offer knowledge, friendship, and eventual membership in our community. We ask that you select representatives who speak for your diverse nature. We will land in 7 of your days at coordinates you will determine. We await your response with hope. The message transmitted. Kai Min monitored as it was received by human communication systems around their planet. Then, they waited. The human response came within hours. Not just from governments, but from their people directly. Millions of messages flooded back. Some in mathematics, some in languages, some in music and art. The overwhelming theme was welcome mixed with cautious curiosity. Then the formal response came from a coalition of human nations. They agreed to meet. The location would be a research station in a place they called Antarctica, controlled by international treaty rather than any one nation. Neutral ground, as Zara had hoped, and they listed their representatives. Scientists, including Jiwoo. Leaders from multiple nations. An artist. A philosopher. A doctor, who worked in conflict zones. A teacher. And, at their own insistence, 3 children who had asked to be included. Zara read the list and smiled. They understand what we asked for. They are not sending their most powerful. They are sending their most representative. Quote, Kai Min looked worried. Captain, the council may not approve of children being present at first contact. The council asked to see humanity's true nature. Zara replied. Humanity's true nature includes protecting and involving their young. It is actually perfect. She composed her response, accepting the meeting terms. Across the galaxy, billions prepared to watch history unfold. Bets were placed on how the meeting would go. Scholars prepared analyses. Leaders considered implications. Artists began creating works commemorating the event before it even happened. On Earth, humans prepared too. Jiwoo received the message that she had been selected as a representative and felt the weight of her entire species on her shoulders. She was not alone. Every chosen representative felt the same enormous responsibility. In her laboratory, Jiwoo looked at her calculations about the alien technology one more time. She had been selected because she had reached toward understanding. She hoped that reaching toward each other would be enough. 7 days, until humanity stepped into a larger universe. 7 days, until the galaxy learned if humans could walk among the stars as equals. Zara looked at the planet Earth, spinning below her ship. What you are, she whispered to it, is survivors. Let us see if you can survive this too. The 7th day arrived. 8. 7th day. 8. Captain Zara stood in her private quarters aboard the Time's Eternal Wanderer *, preparing for the most important moment of her career. She wore her formal diplomatic uniform, deep blue with silver markings indicating her rank and role. In a few hours, she would become the first member of the Galactic Council to stand face to face with a human being. Kai Min entered, his own uniform adjusted perfectly. He would accompany Zara as her science advisor and translator. Captain, the landing site is ready. Human representatives are gathering. The galaxy is watching. Zara nodded. She had reviewed the files on each human representative chosen to meet them. Jiwoo, the physicist who had shown remarkable insight. Ambassador Chen, a diplomat known for peace negotiations. Dr. Amara, who had spent decades treating the wounded in war zones. Professor Williams, a philosopher who wrote about humanity's place in the universe. Artist Maya, whose work explored connection and understanding. Teacher Park, who educated human children about the cosmos. And 3 children. Sophia, age 9, who had written letters to the stars. Jamal, age 12, who built robots. And Yuki, age 10, who wanted to be an astronaut. "Are we ready?" Sarah asked. "The shuttle is prepared," Kaiman confirmed. "All systems functional. The council broadcast is live. Every civilized world is watching." They walked to the shuttle bay together. Other crew members lined the corridor, standing at attention as their captain passed. They knew the significance of this moment. First contact was never repeated. It happened once, forever marking the relationship between species. The shuttle was small and elegant, designed for peaceful approach. No weapons, no heavy shielding, no intimidating features. Just a simple craft, carrying 2 beings who hoped to make friends. As they descended through Earth's atmosphere, Zara saw the planet in detail for the first time. Oceans that sparkled blue, clouds that swirled white, land masses covered in greens and browns, and lights. So many lights from human cities, visible even in daylight. A planet alive, with activity and energy. The landing site came into view. Antarctica's ice stretched in all directions, pristine and beautiful. The research station was a collection of buildings designed for function rather than beauty, but humans had decorated it. Banners hung displaying symbols from many nations. Lights had been arranged in welcoming patterns. And people stood outside, waiting. The shuttle landed gently on the prepared pad. Through the viewports, Zara could see the human representatives standing in a line. Behind them, more humans operated recording equipment. This moment would be preserved forever in both human and galactic history. "They are broadcasting this to their entire planet," Kaiman observed. "Every human with access to communication networks is watching. Just as the galaxy watches us." Zara took a deep breath. Her 3 hearts beat in complex rhythm, a sign of nervousness in her species. "Then let us give them all something good to see." The shuttle door opened. Cold air rushed in, Earth's atmosphere touching Zara for the first time. She stepped out onto the ice, Kai-Min following. The gravity was slightly lighter than she was accustomed to, but manageable. The air was thinner, but breathable. The human representatives stood 30 paces away. Zara walked toward them slowly, each step deliberate and visible. She wanted no sudden movements, nothing that could be interpreted as aggressive. She stopped 10 paces away and observed the humans. They were smaller than she expected, more fragile looking. Their skin tones varied from very dark to very pale, their features diverse. They wore protective clothing against the cold, but she could see their faces clearly. And in those faces, she saw the same nervousness she felt. Jiwoo stepped forward. She was the designated first speaker, chosen by the humans because she had been first to understand the alien technology. She carried a small device that would translate her words. "Welcome to Earth," Jiwoo said in her language. The translation device rendered it in Galactic standard and simultaneously broadcast it across human networks in many languages. "We are honored by your visit. We come in peace and hope to learn from you, as we hope you might learn from us." Zara smiled, a gesture she knew humans would understand as it appeared in their own communication. "People of Earth, I am Captain Zara of the Galactic Council. This is Science Officer Kai-Min. We represent thousands of civilized worlds who have watched you with great interest. You are unique among all species we have encountered." "Unique how?" Ambassador Chen asked. He was older, his hair gray, his posture diplomatic. "We have wondered what you think of us." "Oh, Zara considered how to answer honestly without overwhelming them. "Every species that reached the stars before you did so through unity. Either biological unity like hive minds, or cultural unity through evolution or conquest. You have achieved neither. You remain diverse, individual, often in conflict. By every model we have, you should have destroyed yourselves. Yet you thrive. You grow. You reach outward. This is unprecedented. Dr. Amara spoke next, her voice carrying the weight of experience. So we are chaos to you. Dangerous chaos. You are chaos, Kai-Min agreed. But we have learned it is not dangerous chaos. It is creative chaos. Your disagreements force multiple solutions. Your conflicts drive innovation. Your diversity means you adapt quickly. What we thought was weakness is actually a form of strength we never developed. Professor Williams adjusted his glasses, a human gesture of thought. You said you have watched us. For how long? 9 days of intense observation, Zara replied. But we have seen enough to recommend you for eventual membership in the Galactic Council. The humans reacted with visible surprise and excitement. Ji Woo translated quickly for those whose devices had failed in the cold. And Zara heard gasps and exclamations in multiple languages. But first, Zara continued, we must understand each other. We offer knowledge, technology, and friendship. We ask for the same in return. We propose a cultural exchange. Some of your people come to our worlds. Some of our people remain here. We learn from each other. What about our conflicts? Ambassador Chen asked carefully. Our wars, our environmental problems, our divisions. Will you intervene? Zara had expected this question. The council had debated it extensively. No. We will offer knowledge and advice. But your species must choose its own path. Imposed unity fails. You must find your own way to cooperation, just as you have been doing. We will not interfere with that process. Artist Maya spoke for the first time, her voice quiet but clear. Are there other species like us out there? Other chaotic ones? No. Kai-Min replied. You are the first. That is why the entire galaxy is watching this moment. They want to know if chaos can walk among the stars. They want to know if diversity can survive first contact. You are proof that different paths can lead to the same destination. The 3 children had been silent until now, standing with the adults and watching with wide eyes. Sophia, the youngest, suddenly stepped forward. The adults moved to stop her, but she had already started speaking. Are you going to be our friends? She asked simply. The question, so direct and innocent, carried across the broadcasts to billions of viewers on both sides. Zara knelt down to be at eye level with the small human child. She saw no fear in Sophia's face, only curiosity and hope. Yes, Zara said gently. We would like to be your friends. Would you like to be ours? Sophia smiled and nodded. Then she did something unexpected. She stepped forward and hugged Zara. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. The alien captain and the human child, embracing on the ice of Antarctica, while 2 universes watched. Zara felt the small human's warmth, her trust, her hope. She carefully returned the hug, mindful of her greater strength. When Sophia stepped back, she was still smiling. Across the galaxy, the broadcast continued. On Kreth, General Dax felt something unfamiliar in his chest. On Serenity the 7th, the young member who had questioned her elders smiled with tears in her eyes. In council chambers, High Counselor Theron nodded with satisfaction. On millions of worlds, beings watched and thought perhaps the universe had just changed for the better. On Earth, humans celebrated, not with unity, because that was not their way, but with joy expressed in thousands of different ways simultaneously. Some prayed, some danced, some cried, some shouted, some simply stared at the sky in wonder. Ji Woo approached Zara. Captain, I have many questions about your technology, about the galaxy, about everything. And I have questions about you, Zara replied. How you survived. How you innovate. How you hold such contradictions inside you. And remain functional. Kai Min and Ji Woo immediately began an animated discussion about physics and technology, their enthusiasm breaking through formal protocols. They spoke different languages but communicated perfectly through mathematics and shared curiosity. Ambassador Chen stepped forward. Captain Zara, we should discuss the practical matters. How will this exchange work? What do we need to prepare? Captain Zara, walk with me, Zara said. Let us discuss while we begin to know each other. The formal meeting dissolved into smaller conversations. Humans and aliens mixing, asking questions, sharing ideas. The children showed Jamal's robots to Kai Min, who was delighted by their creative if crude engineering. Dr. Amara discussed medical science with a Galactic Council physician who had accompanied the shuttle. Artist Maya sketched Zara's features, while Professor Williams debated philosophy with another council member. Hours passed. The Antarctic sun hung in the sky. This region, in its summer season of constant daylight. The conversations continued, breaking only when someone needed rest or food. Humans offered their food to the aliens cautiously, and were relieved when Zara's species could consume it safely. In return, Zara offered nutrient packs from her ship, which humans found bland, but edible. This is going well, Kai Min observed quietly to Zara during a brief, private moment. Better than anyone predicted. They are easy to talk to, Zara agreed. Despite the differences, despite the strangeness, they make connection feel natural. As the day continued into evening by human reckoning, Ambassador Chen called for formal statements. Both sides would make declarations for their respective peoples. Defining this new relationship, Ambassador Chen spoke first for humanity. Today, humanity takes its first step into a larger universe. We come not as supplicants seeking salvation, nor as conquerors seeking dominance. We come as equals, offering our friendship, our knowledge, and our unique perspective. We are imperfect. We acknowledge our conflicts, our problems, our divisions, but we are learning, growing, and reaching outward. We accept the Galactic Council's offer of cultural exchange and eventual membership. But we ask for patience as we prepare our world for this new reality. We ask for respect for our diversity, and we promise to contribute what we can to the galactic community. Zara stood to respond. The Galactic Council welcomes humanity. You are unlike any species we have known. But we have learned that different does not mean lesser. Your chaos is creative. Your conflicts drive growth. Your diversity is strength. We offer you probationary membership, with full membership possible when both our peoples agree you are ready. We will not force unity upon you. We will not demand you change your nature. We ask only that you continue to reach outward, continue to survive, and continue to be yourselves. The galaxy is better for having found you. We look forward to learning what you will teach us. The statements concluded. Zara prepared to return to her ship. It had been decided that she would return daily for continued meetings while the cultural exchange was organized. But this first day had achieved something more important than any negotiation. It had proven that humans and the galaxy could meet as equals. Before boarding her shuttle, Zara looked at the assembled humans one more time. Ji Woo had tears on her face, though she smiled. The children waved enthusiastically. The adults looked tired but hopeful. Captain, Ji Woo called out. When you first saw us, what did you think? Truly? Zara considered the question. She thought of her first reaction to the impossible data, to the paradoxes and contradictions of human civilization. I thought, Zara said honestly, how are you alive? Everything we knew said you should have destroyed yourselves. Now I know the answer. You survive because you never stop choosing to survive. Each of you, individually, choosing hope over despair, cooperation over isolation, tomorrow over today. That is what makes you extraordinary." She paused, then added, "We call ourselves the Galactic Council. We represent order, stability, and peace achieved through unity. Perhaps we need what you represent: chaos, change, and peace achieved through choice. Welcome to the stars, humanity. Show us what you can do." The shuttle lifted off, carrying Zara and Kai-Min back to their ship. They looked down at Earth. Now, not just a mysterious planet but a world full of beings they were beginning to know. Across the galaxy, the broadcast ended. Scholars would analyze every moment for years to come. But the conclusion was already clear to most who watched. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through perfection, but through persistence. Not through unity, but through diversity. Not through being like everyone else, but through being uniquely, impossibly, magnificently themselves. In council chambers, High Counselor Theron composed his official report. It would be short, because the broadcast had shown everything that mattered. He wrote simply, "First contact successful. Humanity welcomed. The galaxy changed today. We discovered that chaos and order can coexist. We learned that there are many paths to the stars, and we found that sometimes the species that breaks all the rules teaches the most important lessons. Recommendation: full support for human integration. They will challenge us. They will frustrate us. They will make us better." On Earth, Ji-Woo stood outside the research station long after the others had gone inside. She looked up at the stars, now knowing with certainty that they were full of life and possibility. Somewhere up there, Zara was looking down at Earth. Two beings from two different worlds, having just changed the universe forever with a simple handshake and a child's hug. Humanity had found the stars. And the stars had found humanity. The galaxy would never be the same. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with quiet conversation as delegates from 47 species took their seats. The room itself was a marvel of engineering. A massive sphere that floated in space, with transparent walls showing the stars beyond. Each species had their own section, with atmosphere and gravity adjusted to their needs. Ambassador Kale Vo of the Antarian Collective stood at the central platform. His blue skin shimmered under the lights as he activated the display above him. An image of a small yellow star appeared, rotating slowly. "Honored council members," Kale Vo began, his voice translated instantly into dozens of languages. "I bring forward a matter that has troubled us for 2 centuries. The species of Sol 3, known as humans, has ignored 847 official invitations to join our community." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some delegates nodded in agreement, while others whispered to their aides. 200 years, Kale Vo continued. "We have sent messages in every format: mathematical sequences, visual representations, audio patterns, even physical probes with engraved invitations. Nothing. Not a single response." A reptilian delegate from the Viridian Empire raised a clawed hand. "Perhaps they destroyed themselves?" "Many species do, before achieving faster-than-light travel. That was our assumption," Kale Vo said. "However, our long-range scans show active civilization. Cities, satellites, energy signatures. They are alive and advanced enough to receive our messages. They simply choose not to respond." The council chamber filled with discussion. A floating jellyfish-like creature spoke through translation devices. "What do you propose, Ambassador?" Kale Vo's expression hardened. "I propose we declare humanity diplomatically extinct. Their silence for 2 centuries proves they have no interest in galactic community. Their solar system contains valuable resources and habitable worlds. If they will not join us, we should open Sol system for colonization claims." The chamber erupted in debate. Some species agreed enthusiastically while others seemed uncertain. The council speaker, an ancient being known as the First Voice, raised a crystalline appendage for silence. "This is a serious proposal," the First Voice said. "Before we vote, we must follow protocol. One final investigation. If humanity still refuses contact, we will proceed with Ambassador Kale Vo's motion. End quote. The vote passed quickly. Within the week, an investigation fleet of 12 ships would travel to Sol System. Their mission was simple: make contact or confirm the system was available for claiming. Far from the council chamber, on a red and dusty world, Commander Jinsu Park watched the vote happen in real time. He sat in a hidden facility buried 3 kilometers beneath the surface of Mars. Around him, dozens of screens showed different angles of the council chamber. Every word was translated. Every gesture was analyzed. "They are sending the fleet," his communications officer said. 12 ships, mixed species crew. "They will arrive in 6 days." Jinsu nodded slowly. He was a tall man, with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen many years of service. "Send the report to Earth. The Diplomatic Defense Initiative needs to prepare." "Sir, why do we keep watching them if we never respond?" a young technician asked. She was new to the Mars facility and still learning about Earth strategy. Jinsu smiled slightly. "Because, Lieutenant Kim, the best way to understand someone is to watch how they behave when they think no one is looking. For 200 years, we have studied them. We know their languages better than they do. We know their politics, their secrets, their fears. But why stay silent? Would you enter a room full of strangers if you could first spend years learning everything about them? Their alliances, their enemies, their rules, both written and unwritten?" Jinsu turned to face her fully. "The galaxy is complicated. Species that smile at the council table are secretly at war. Treaties are broken in shadows. Weaker civilizations are exploited while the council looks away. We saw all of this in the first year of watching." The young lieutenant's eyes widened. "So we have been preparing?" "Every day for 2 centuries, Jinsu confirmed. "While they assumed we were primitive or dead, we built networks across our solar system. We learned. We planned. We made ourselves ready for this exact moment. On Earth, in a secure facility beneath the mountains of what was once called South Korea, Dr. Sarah Chen reviewed the incoming report from Mars. She was the director of the Xenolinguistics Division, responsible for understanding every language and communication method used in the galaxy. "The fleet will be here soon," she said to the gathered leaders. "Are the satellites ready?" Admiral Yoon Min-ji, commander of the Orbital Defense Coordination Center, nodded confidently. 1,000 satellites. Positioned and cloaked. They have been ready for 30 years. We have just been waiting for the right moment. "And the information packages?" asked Park Ji-woo, a former Marine who had been selected as Earth's first ambassador when the time came. "Complete," Sarah confirmed. "Every species in the Council. Every secret we have discovered. Every violation of their own laws that we have documented. All organized and ready for broadcast." The room fell quiet for a moment. These men and women represented Earth's careful strategy. While the galaxy assumed humanity was silent from fear or ignorance, the truth was far different. Earth had been building the most comprehensive intelligence network the galaxy had ever seen. "When the fleet arrives," Admiral Yoon said, "they expect to find nothing or primitives. Instead, they will learn that humans have been watching them all along, that every secret they thought was hidden has been recorded." The investigation fleet entered Sol System 5 days later. Captain Vex, a 4-armed insectoid commander, led the small flotilla. His orders were clear: approach Earth, attempt contact one final time, and report findings to the Council. "Sensors show extensive satellite networks," his science officer reported. "Orbital stations around multiple planets. Impressive for a species that never responded to contact." "Any response to our hails?" Captain Vex asked. "Nothing. Complete silence." The fleet moved deeper into the system, passing Mars without detecting the hidden facility below. They approached Earth's moon. Then, Earth itself. The blue and green planet hung in space before them. Beautiful. And quiet. Still, no response. Communications confirmed. Captain Vex prepared his report for the council. Humanity was alive, but refused all contact. The colonization vote would proceed. Then something changed. Every sensor on every ship began screaming alerts simultaneously. Space around Earth suddenly filled with objects that had not been there a moment before. Exactly 1,000 satellites appeared in perfect geometric formation above Earth, materializing from cloaking fields that no council technology had detected, and every single one of them began broadcasting at once. Captain Vex stared at his displays in disbelief. One moment, the space around Earth had been empty. The next moment, 1,000 satellites hung in perfect formation. Each one exactly the same size and shape. Smooth spheres that reflected starlight like mirrors. "Report," he demanded. His science officer's 4 eyes were wide with shock. "They just appeared, Captain. Our sensors detected nothing before they materialized. The cloaking technology is beyond anything in our databases. Are they weapons?" Vex's hand moved toward the alert button. "Unknown. They are broadcasting. All frequencies. Every known language in the galaxy. What are they saying?" The communications officer played the message. A calm human voice spoke in perfect Antarian, then switched to Viridian, then to Vex's own native language without pause. "Welcome to Sol System. You came seeking contact. We provide information instead. Please observe." Then the satellites changed. Each one began projecting holographic images into space. Massive, 3-dimensional displays that could be seen from every ship in the fleet. Vex watched in growing horror as the satellite nearest his ship began showing detailed information about his own species. Star charts appeared. Every Viridian colony world was marked with exact coordinates. Population numbers, military installations, trade routes, energy production facilities. Everything was documented with precision that suggested decades of observation. "How do they know all this?" his weapons officer whispered. But the display was just beginning. The hologram shifted to show Viridian diplomatic communications. Secret messages between Viridian leaders discussing treaties they had signed with the Council while planning to violate them. Plans to expand into territory that belonged to other species. Schemes to manipulate Council votes. "Turn it off," Vex ordered. "I cannot, sir. The broadcast is not directed at us. It simply exists in space. All ships in the fleet are seeing similar displays about their own species." Vex realized the terrible truth. Each satellite was showing different information. 1,000 satellites meant 1,000 different revelations. He switched his view to other ships' sensor feeds. The Antarian vessel was receiving detailed information about illegal mining operations. Holographic evidence showed Antarian corporations strip mining protected worlds in violation of Council environmental laws. The records included dates, locations, and even the names of officials who had approved the operations secretly. Another ship from the Yirish Confederation watched as decades of their species' diplomatic deceptions were displayed. They had signed peace treaties while simultaneously funding proxy wars. They had promised aid to struggling species while sabotaging their economies to keep them dependent. On Earth, Admiral Yoon Min-ji watched the satellite deployment from the Orbital Defense Coordination Center. Hundreds of technicians monitored the broadcasts, ensuring every piece of information was accurate and clear. "All satellites are functioning perfectly," her tactical officer reported. "The fleet is in disarray. Multiple ships are trying to jam the broadcasts, but failing." "Good," Admiral Yoon said. "Begin Phase 2. Show them we have been watching everything." The satellites shifted their displays again. Now they showed more recent information. Current military movements. Secret meetings that had happened just weeks ago. Conversations between council members discussing how to divide Earth's solar system among themselves after declaring humanity extinct. Captain Vex felt his internal temperature drop as he watched the satellite display his own mission briefing. Not just the official orders, but the secret addendum that had been given to him privately. If humans proved troublesome, he had authorization to use force. That private order was now being broadcast to the entire fleet, many of whom came from species that would be horrified by such aggression. "Captain, we are receiving priority communications from the Council," his communications officer said, nervously. "Emergency session has been called. We are ordered to return immediately." "What about the mission?" "The mission is cancelled, sir. The Council is demanding we leave Sol system at once." Vex understood why. The satellites were not weapons in the traditional sense. They were something far more dangerous. They were truth made visible. Every secret the Council species had kept from each other was now being exposed simultaneously. On the Antarian flagship, Ambassador Kale Vo received similar orders. But he also received something else. A private message that appeared on his personal console in text, written in Antarian with such perfect grammar and cultural nuance that it could only have been composed by someone who understood his language better than he did. "Ambassador Kale Vo," the message read, "you proposed declaring us diplomatically extinct because we did not respond to your invitations. We chose silence, not from weakness, but from wisdom. For 200 years, we watched. We listened. We learned. We saw how the Council operates in public and in private. We documented everything. These satellites represent just a fraction of what we know. If you wish to communicate with humanity, you must first understand that we are not the primitive species you assumed. We are the species that watched you while you thought no one was watching. Consider carefully what happens next." The message was not signed, but Kale Vo understood its meaning perfectly. Humanity had been observing the entire galaxy. The surveillance capability required to gather this much information was staggering. It meant humans had technology far beyond what the Council possessed, or they had been watching far longer than anyone suspected. Back on Mars, Commander Jinsu reviewed the incoming data. "The fleet is withdrawing. Council has called emergency session. Multiple species are already demanding explanations from each other." "Satellite status?" he asked. "All 1,000 remain in position. Broadcasts continuing. We are rotating through different information categories as planned. Current rotation is showing economic exploitation of younger species." Jinsu allowed himself a small smile. The satellites had been in position for decades, hidden by technology that Earth had developed specifically for this purpose. While the Council assumed humanity was struggling to achieve basic space travel, Earth had quietly mastered stealth systems that made their satellites invisible to every sensor type the galaxy used. "Continue broadcasts for 72 hours, he ordered. "Give them time to absorb what they are seeing. Then, we send Phase 3. "What is Phase 3, sir?" Lieutenant Kim asked. "We tell them what we want," Jinsu replied. "Right now, they are confused and afraid. They do not understand how we got this information, or what we plan to do with it. Fear will make them defensive, but if we give them a path forward, some of them will take it." On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen prepared humanity's first official message to the galaxy. She had spent 30 years studying alien psychology and communication styles. She knew exactly how to phrase what came next to have maximum impact. Park Ji-woo stood beside her, reading over the draft message. "You really think they will accept our terms?" "They have no choice," Sarah said calmly. "The satellites prove we can expose any secret, any lie, any violation of their own laws. Some species will resist, but enough will see the benefit of reform, and those species will pressure the others." Admiral Yoon joined them in the command center. "The satellites have revealed information about corruption in 70% of Council species so far. By tomorrow, every species will have seen evidence of wrongdoing by their neighbors or themselves. The galaxy is about to have a very difficult conversation." She pulled up a display showing galactic communication channels. They were overloaded with traffic, species demanding explanations from each other, client worlds questioning their protectors, colony administrations asking why certain activities had been hidden. 200 years of silence, Admiral Yoon said quietly. "And now we break it by saying everything at once. The galaxy will never be the same." Above Earth, The 1,000 satellites continued their patient broadcast, each one a testament to humanity's capacity for patience and preparation. They did not threaten. They did not demand. They simply showed the truth. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was chaos. Delegates shouted across the chamber in dozens of languages. Translation systems struggled to keep up as accusations flew back and forth. The carefully maintained dignity of galactic civilization was crumbling with each passing minute. The first voice repeatedly called for order, but few were listening. The transparent walls of the council chamber showed the stars beyond, but inside, the darkness of revealed secrets consumed everything. Ambassador Kale Vo stood at his delegation's platform, his blue skin pale with stress. Across the chamber, the Viridian delegation was shouting at him. Behind them, 3 other species were demanding answers about the information humanity's satellites had revealed. "You signed the Protected Worlds Treaty," the Viridian ambassador hissed, "while your corporations were destroying 6 protected ecosystems. We have recordings of you personally approving those operations. And your species has been secretly allied with the Kresh," Kale Vo shot back. The Kresh were declared hostile to the Council 70 years ago. Yet, you have been trading with them, sharing technology with them, all while voting for sanctions against them in this very chamber. A smaller delegate, representing the Fulari people, stood on their platform. "Both of you criticize each other, while ignoring what the humans have shown about all of us. The Antarians mined protected worlds. The Viridians aided declared enemies. My own government has been manipulating trade agreements to keep developing species dependent on our aid. Every species in this chamber has been exposed for something." The chamber fell into uncomfortable silence. The Fulari delegate was right. The satellites above Earth had not targeted just 1 or 2 species. They had revealed systematic corruption across the entire Council. Council Intelligence Director Thex Nor, a being that resembled a floating collection of crystals, spoke with a voice that resonated throughout the chamber. "We must address the larger question. How did humanity acquire this information?" "Obviously through espionage," another delegate suggested. "They infiltrated our communications." "Impossible," Dexnor said firmly. "The information displayed includes data from secure facilities that are not connected to any network. It includes conversations that took place in shielded rooms. It includes physical documents that were never digitized. The scope of surveillance required is beyond anything we thought possible." A horrified murmur spread through the chamber. If humans could observe shielded facilities and secure locations, nowhere was safe from their observation. "Perhaps they have been watching us longer than we know," the Fulari delegate said quietly. Their silence was not primitive isolation. It was strategic observation. Kale Vo felt anger rising. "They let us make fools of ourselves for 2 centuries. They could have joined the Council. Instead, they spied on us. Or," the Fulari delegate countered, "they watched us for 2 centuries and decided we were not worthy of joining. Can you blame them? Look at what they found. Corruption, deception, exploitation. We invited them to join a community built on lies." The first voice finally managed to restore some order. "Enough. We cannot undo what has been revealed. We must decide how to respond. Humanity has made their technological superiority clear. We sent an investigation fleet to determine if they were extinct. Instead, we learned they have been observing us with technology that makes our best sensors look primitive. Should we attack them?" a militant species suggested. "They have violated our security." "With what?" Thexnor asked coldly. "They have shown us 1,000 satellites that our best ships could not detect until they revealed themselves. What else do they have that we cannot see? How many weapons are hidden in their solar system? How many ships?" The chamber fell silent again as delegates realized the truth. Humanity had demonstrated technological superiority without firing a single shot. The satellites were a statement of capability. We should request dialogue, the Folari delegate said. Formally. Not another investigation fleet. Not another ignored invitation. A genuine request to speak. You would have us beg? Calvo demanded. I would have us show the wisdom to recognize when we are outmatched, the Folari responded. And the humility to admit we may have earned their silence. The vote was close, but it passed. The council would send a formal request for dialogue. Not a demand. Not an order. A request. On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen received the council's message within hours. She read it carefully, analyzing every word choice and grammatical construction. They are afraid, she told the others, but some of them are also genuinely interested in reform. The Folari, in particular. Their message has subtext that suggests they want the corruption exposed. Can we trust any of them? Park Ji-woo asked. Trust is not required, Admiral Yoon replied. We hold all the information. They must earn our engagement. Commander Jin-Soo's report from Mars confirmed what they suspected. Galactic communications networks are overloaded. Client species under Council protection are demanding explanations. Colony worlds are questioning their administrations. 3 minor conflicts have paused because both sides realized their secret backers have been exposed. The satellites are working as intended then, Sarah said. Not as weapons, but as truth-tellers. The galaxy is being forced to confront what it has become. She began preparing humanity's response. Earth would agree to dialogue, but on their terms. And those terms would require the Council to change in ways they would find difficult. The satellites continued broadcasting, rotating through categories of information. Now, they were showing evidence of species discrimination. Several Council species had voted against membership applications from non-humanoid species for no reason except appearance. Others had quietly undermined developing civilizations they found culturally different. In the Council chamber, a delegate from the Yirish Confederation stood to speak. Perhaps we needed this, she said quietly. We have been maintaining a fiction of civilized galactic society while allowing corruption to grow unchecked. We wrote laws we did not follow. We made treaties we did not honor. We welcomed species to join us, and then took advantage of them. You think humanity did us a favor? Calvo asked bitterly. I think they showed us a mirror, the Yirish delegate responded. And we do not like what we see. More delegates began speaking, some defensive, others thoughtful. The younger species on the Council, those who had joined more recently, were generally supportive of what humanity had done. They had been victims of the corruption being exposed. The older, more established species were divided. Some wanted to defend the system they had built. Others recognized it was indefensible once exposed. The first voice listened to all perspectives before speaking. Humanity has demonstrated that our secrets were never as secure as we believed. They have shown that our community is deeply flawed. Whether we choose to see this as an attack or as an opportunity to improve is up to us. But we cannot ignore it. The Council session continued for 16 hours, the longest in recorded history. Species accused each other. Old alliances fractured. New ones began forming. The satellites above Earth had done more than expose secrets. They had fundamentally changed the political landscape of the galaxy. When the session finally ended, 5 species had formally requested that the Council establish an independent oversight committee to investigate the revealed corruption. 3 species had threatened to leave the Council entirely, and all of them agreed on one thing. They needed to speak with humanity before making any more decisions. The formal request was sent to Earth. It was carefully worded, respectful, and acknowledged that humanity had no obligation to respond. They were asking, not demanding. On Earth, Park Ji-woo read the message and smiled slightly. They are learning. It took 200 years, but they are finally learning to ask instead of assume. Should we respond? Admiral Yoon asked. Yes, Sarah said. But we make them wait 3 days. Let them wonder. Let the satellites continue broadcasting. Let the galaxy continue absorbing what we have shown them. Then we give them our terms for engagement. 3 days after the Council's request, Park Ji-woo appeared before them. Not in person. Humanity was not ready to physically travel to Council space yet. Instead, she stood in a facility on Earth, while her holographic image was projected into the Council chamber. The technology itself was a message. The hologram was perfect, more detailed and stable than anything the Council had seen before. She wore a simple dark uniform with no decorations or rank insignia. Her black hair was pulled back in a practical style. She looked like what she was. A soldier who had become a diplomat, because the mission required it. Honored Council members, she began, speaking in perfectly accented Galactic Common. I am Park Ji-woo, representing humanity. Thank you for inviting us to speak. The chamber was silent. 47 species watched the hologram with a mixture of fear, curiosity, and resentment. I know you have questions, Park Ji-woo continued. Why did we remain silent for 2 centuries? How did we gather the information our satellites have revealed? What do we want? I will answer these questions. But first, I must explain how humanity views the galaxy. She gestured, and a new hologram appeared beside her. It showed Earth from space. The blue and green planets slowly rotated. 200 years ago, we received your first message. We were excited, honored. Finally, we had proof. We were not alone. We prepared responses. We celebrated. Then our scientists and philosophers asked a simple question. What if we listen first, before we answer? So we listened. We built receivers and captured your broadcasts. We learned your languages. We studied your cultures. And within a year, we understood something important. The Galactic Council was not what it claimed to be. Uncomfortable shifting rippled through the chamber. Earth has a difficult history. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times. Wars that killed millions. Weapons that could have ended all life on our planet. Empires that conquered and enslaved. We know what corruption looks like because we have experienced it. We know what abuse of power looks like because we have suffered it. We know what happens when the strong exploit the weak because we have been both. She let that sink in before continuing. When we studied the Council, we saw patterns we recognized. Powerful species dominating weaker ones. Secret deals that violated public treaties. Laws that existed on paper but not in practice. We saw a system that maintained the appearance of civilization while allowing systematic injustice. Ambassador Kail-vo could not remain silent. So you decided to spy on us? To judge us? We decided to understand you before joining you, Park Ji-woo corrected. Would you enter a partnership without understanding your partners? Would you sign a treaty without reading its terms? We chose caution over eagerness. 200 years is more than caution, the Viridian ambassador said. It is paranoia. Is it? Park Ji-woo asked. Your own species planned to claim parts of our solar system once we were declared extinct. We have recordings of those discussions. The Antarians wanted our asteroid belt for mining. The Yirish Confederation wanted to establish military bases on our outer planets. At least 6 other species had submitted colonization proposals that would have required relocating or eliminating any humans who got in the way. The chamber erupted in denials and accusations. Park Ji-woo waited calmly until the first voice restored order. So we watched, she continued. We learned. We prepared, not just by gathering information. We developed technology. We built defenses. We established networks across our solar system. We did not spend 2 centuries hiding. We spent 2 centuries becoming ready for this exact moment. What moment? The Folari delegate asked. The moment when we could negotiate from a position of strength rather than weakness. Park Ji-woo said simply. The satellites were not a threat. They were a demonstration. We wanted you to understand that joining the Council is a choice we can make, not a gift you grant us. And we have conditions for that choice. She gestured again. The hologram changed to show a document. It scrolled, slowly, displaying pages of detailed text in multiple languages. We propose comprehensive reform of the Galactic Council, Park Ji-woo said. Complete reformation of the Council Charter. Establishment of independent oversight committees with real authority. Mandatory transparency in all colonial operations. Protection rights for pre-spacefaring civilizations. Ending all classified treaties that violate public ones. And accountability for past violations. The chamber exploded. Delegates shouted objections. Some called the demands outrageous. Others accused humanity of blackmail. Park Ji-woo waited patiently. When the noise finally decreased, she spoke again. These are not demands. They are terms for Earth's engagement with the Council. You can accept them or reject them. We will remain in our solar system either way. You think you can dictate terms to 47 species? Kaelvo demanded. No, Park Ji-woo said. But we can continue broadcasting the truth. The satellites have shown only a portion of what we know. We have documented 2 centuries of corruption. Every species in this chamber, every corporation, every colonial administration, every military operation, all of it, recorded and ready to be revealed. She let that threat hang in the air. We are not interested in empire. We do not want to conquer anyone. We do not want your territories or your resources. We want the galaxy to be what it claims to be. A community of civilized species that treat each other with justice and respect. And if we refuse? A militant delegate asked. Park Ji-woo's expression remained calm, but her eyes hardened. Then we release everything we have documented. Not just to you, but to every species under Council authority. Your client species. Your colony worlds. Your subject peoples. We give them all the truth about how they have been treated. Let them decide what to do with that information. The threat was clear. The Council maintained control through carefully managed information. If every species under their authority learned the truth about how they had been manipulated and exploited, the entire system would collapse. You would cause chaos across the galaxy, the first voice said quietly. You caused the chaos, Park Ji-woo corrected. We would simply reveal it. The choice is yours. Reform or revelation. Commander Jin-soo watched the transmission from Mars, pleased with Park Ji-woo's performance. She was handling the Council exactly as planned. Firm, but not aggressive. Clear, but not threatening. She offered a path forward while making the consequences of refusal obvious. On Earth, Admiral Yoon monitored a different concern. 3 species are mobilizing military assets, her tactical officer reported. They appear to be preparing responses against us. Activate Phase 4, Admiral Yoon ordered. Above Earth, the satellites responded immediately. New broadcasts began, showing the exact locations and capabilities of the military forces being mobilized. Complete battle plans that humanity had prepared for 70 different invasion scenarios. Defensive systems hidden throughout the solar system. Weapon platforms that had never been detected by Council sensors. The message was clear without words. Humanity had not spent 2 centuries just watching. They had prepared for every contingency, including military attack. In the Council chamber, delegates received emergency reports about the new satellite broadcasts. The species that had been mobilizing military forces went pale as they realized humanity had anticipated their exact responses and had counters prepared. How long have you been preparing for war with us? A shocked delegate asked. We have been preparing to defend ourselves since the day we received your first message, Park Ji-woo said. But we do not want war. We want reform. We want the galaxy to be better than it is. Is that so unreasonable? The Folari delegate stood. No, it is not unreasonable. My species supports humanity's proposals. We have suffered under the current system. We welcome change. Two other smaller species quickly added their support. They had been victims of the corruption being exposed and saw humanity's reforms as their best chance for justice. The chamber divided into factions. Some species resisted, others supported reform. Many remained undecided, trying to calculate their best position. Park Ji-woo watched it all calmly. You do not need to decide today. Take time. Discuss among yourselves. But know this. Humanity will not wait another 2 centuries. You have 1 month to respond to our proposals. After that, we make our own choices about our future in the galaxy. The month that followed was the most turbulent in galactic history. The council divided into clear factions. 15 species supported humanity's reforms immediately. They were mostly younger members who had suffered under the corruption being exposed. 12 species adamantly opposed any changes, preferring the status quo that benefited them. 20 species remained undecided, watching to see which way the political winds would blow. But the chaos was not limited to the council. Throughout the galaxy, client species and colony worlds were demanding explanations. The satellites continued broadcasting, rotating through documented evidence of systematic exploitation and abuse. Populations that had been kept ignorant of their true circumstances were learning the truth. On the Antarian colony world of Keshar 3, a protest movement began within hours of the satellite broadcasts, revealing how resources meant for local development had been diverted to Antarian corporate profits. Within days, 3 other colonies joined them. The Antarian government tried to suppress the information, but the satellites broadcast directly to civilian receivers. There was no way to stop the truth from spreading. Similar uprisings began on 12 other worlds. Not violent revolutions, but peaceful demands for accountability and reform. The foundation of the Galactic Order was cracking. Ambassador Kale Vo stood in an emergency meeting with Antarian leadership. We must act now, he insisted. Deploy the military. Shut down the rebellious colonies before this spreads further. And how do we explain that to the council? The Antarian Prime Minister asked tiredly. We would be proving everything humanity accused us of. Using force to maintain unjust control. Better that than losing everything we have built. What we built was based on exploitation, a younger minister said quietly. Perhaps we deserve to lose it. The argument continued, but Kaelvo could see the truth. His government was divided. The younger generation wanted reform. The older leaders wanted to maintain power. And in the middle were those who simply did not know which path would lead to survival. On Earth, Commander Jin-Soo coordinated with the Diplomatic Defense Initiative as they monitored dozens of potential threats. 3 separate species have attempted to send covert military forces towards Sol system, he reported. All 3 have been detected, and their approach vectors broadcast publicly. Good, Admiral Yoon said. Continue the strategy. Make every aggressive move visible. Force them to act in the open or not at all. The strategy was working. Species that might have risked a secret attack were unwilling to move openly. Not when humanity could expose their actions instantly to the entire galaxy. Dr. Sarah Chen worked with her team to analyze the thousands of communications flooding in from across the galaxy. 70% of messages from client species are supportive of reforms, she reported. They see humanity as potential liberators. 20% are neutral. Only 10% are hostile, mostly from populations that benefit from the current system. What about the council species themselves? More divided. The pattern is clear, though. Species that have been exploiting others oppose reform. Species that have been victims support it. The species in the middle are calculating which side serves their interests. Park Ji-woo prepared for her second appearance before the council. The month was nearly over. Humanity needed to know where each species stood. The council chamber was more subdued than her first appearance. Delegates looked tired. The past month had been exhausting for everyone. The carefully maintained facade of galactic civilization had been shattered, and rebuilding would not be easy. Honored council members. Park Ji-woo began. The month has passed. You have seen what happens when truth is revealed. Your client species demand accountability. Your colony worlds question their treatment. Your own populations ask difficult questions. This is not chaos. This is justice, beginning. She looked across the chamber, making eye contact with different delegates. I am here to ask for your decision. Will you accept reform? Will you work to build a better council? Or will you choose to defend the corrupt system we have exposed? The first voice spoke. Before we vote, I must ask. If we accept your reforms, what role will humanity play? You demand changes, but refuse to join us. You watch from outside and judge. Is that fair? Park Ji-woo nodded, as if she had expected the question. We propose a new position. Diplomatic observers. Humanity will not join the Council as a member species. We will not vote on laws or policies. We will not claim territory or seek power. Instead, we will serve as independent oversight. We will continue to watch. We will continue to document. And we will continue to expose corruption wherever we find it. You want authority without accountability? Kailvo demanded. No. Park Ji-woo said firmly. We want accountability without empire. We will have no voting power, no territorial claims, no ability to pass laws. Our only authority will be to investigate and expose wrongdoing. If we abuse that authority, you can expel us. But you cannot stop us from watching. The Folari delegate stood. I believe this is wise. Humanity has demonstrated they can observe us whether we like it or not. Better to make that observation official and establish rules for it than pretend we can stop them. You would reward their spying? A hostile delegate asked. I would acknowledge reality, the Folari responded. They spent 2 centuries learning everything about us. They have technology we cannot match. They have information we cannot hide. Fighting them is pointless. Working with them might actually improve things. The debate continued for hours. But slowly, momentum built toward accepting humanity's proposal. Not because the Council wanted to, but because the alternative was worse. Species that opposed reform watched as their colonies rebelled. Species that remained neutral calculated the costs of resistance versus cooperation. And species that supported reform pushed hard for acceptance. Finally, the vote came. 28 species supported humanity's reforms and the creation of the diplomatic observer position. 13 opposed. 6 abstained. It was not unanimous, but it was enough. The first voice spoke formally. The Council accepts humanity's terms. We will reform the Charter. We will establish oversight committees. We will end secret treaties. We will protect developing civilizations. And we will welcome humanity as diplomatic observers, with the authority to investigate and expose wrongdoing, but without voting rights or territorial claims. Park Ji-woo bowed slightly. Over the following months, the reforms began. Independent oversight committees were established with representatives from smaller species who had no interest in maintaining the old corruption. Secret treaties were revealed and renegotiated. Colonial administrations that had abused their authority were replaced. It was slow, painful work, but it was genuine change. The 13 species that had voted against reform withdrew from active council participation. Some isolated themselves. Others formed their own coalition, resentful of humanity's influence, but they could not stop the changes. The truth had been revealed, and populations across the galaxy demanded better. 6 months after Park Ji-woo's second appearance, she attended her first council session in person. She traveled aboard a human ship that the council fleet could not detect until it decloaked in their space. Another reminder of humanity's technological advantage. She took her seat in a newly constructed section of the council chamber, the observer's box. It was positioned where she could see and hear everything, but was clearly separate from the voting members, symbolic of humanity's role. present but not participating in power struggles. The first voice opened the session. Today we vote on the first measure under our reformed charter. Formal apologies and reparations to species wronged under the old system. 3 species have been identified as deserving compensation for past abuses. The vote passed easily. The 3 species, all small and previously powerless, were granted reparations from those who had exploited them. It was a small step, but it was the kind of step that would have been impossible under the old system. As the session continued, Park Ji-woo watched carefully. The satellites remained in orbit above Earth, a constant reminder of humanity's ability to expose secrets. But they broadcast less frequently now, showing information only when new corruption was discovered rather than constantly revealing old secrets. Commander Jin-soo sent her a secure message from Mars. 17 new species have applied for council membership since the reforms began. They say they trust the new system because humanity is watching. Park Ji-woo smiled slightly. That was exactly what Earth had hoped for. Not to rule the galaxy, but to make it trustworthy enough that species would want to join. Admiral Yoon reported from Earth. All defensive systems remain active. The 13 species that opposed reform are being monitored. No aggressive moves detected yet, but we remain prepared. Good. Park Ji-woo replied. We changed the galaxy in 6 months, but maintaining that change will take generations. We must remain vigilant. End quote. As the council session ended, the Falari delegate approached her. I wanted to thank you. My species has suffered for decades under the old system. These reforms give us hope. Thank humanity by making sure the reforms succeed, Park Ji-woo said. We provided the opportunity. You must build the better galaxy. That night, Park Ji-woo stood in her quarters aboard the human ship, looking out at the stars. 200 years of silence. 6 months of revelation and reform. The galaxy had changed because humanity had chosen patience over eagerness, information over ignorance, and accountability over authority. The 1,000 satellites remained above Earth, eternal sentinels. They were not weapons. They were not threats. They were simply reminders that someone was always watching, always documenting, always ready to reveal truth when needed. And across the galaxy, billions of beings went to sleep, knowing that the powerful could no longer act in complete darkness. Humanity had given the galaxy something it desperately needed, but had never had. Transparency enforced by those with no interest in empire. It was not a perfect solution. Corruption would not disappear overnight. Abuse would not end immediately. But for the first time in galactic history, there was genuine accountability. And that made all the difference.